Hey folks, CA Rachana Ranade here, and I welcome you all to a very important video which is about the IPO summary of Azad Engineering Limited. Well, this company was incorporated back in 1983, but as usual, let's start with what does the company do, and for that, have a look at this. Well, this company is one of the key manufacturers of qualified product lines supplying to global original equipment manufacturers in the aerospace and defense category, in the energy and oil and gas industries, manufacturing highly engineered complex and mission and life critical components. I'm sure this might be like really heavy on your ears, but you can imagine something like this, that they manufacture components, they manufacture equipments. These are in the OEM category, original equipment manufacturers category. And where are their equipments used? In the oil and gas industry. Their equipments are used in the defense industry, yes, in the aerospace industry. Okay, so equipments which are used in various industries. Now, who are their key customers? Their key customers are someone like General Electric, Honeywell International Incorporated, Mitsubishi, Eaton Aerospace, and a few more. Right now, let's understand to which countries do they export their products to. Major exports are to countries like USA, China, Europe, Middle East, and Japan. And believe it or not, almost 80% of their sale is contributed or is attributed to exports. Only 20% is domestic sale. Right now, the company also has manufacturing facilities in Telangana, which is in Hyderabad, which is in Telangana. Right now, with this basic understanding, let's also have a brief understanding of the industry overview. Well, this overall, if I were to talk about, the first one is oil and gas industry that we are going to talk about, and the second one is aerospace and defense. You remember why these? Because the components that they manufacture are actually sold to companies which belong to these industries, right? So first one is about oil and gas. It grew at a CAGR of 4% from 2017 to 2022, but from 22 to 2030 it is estimated to grow only at 3.2%. So here we come across a terminology which is called as degrowth. So it's not a negative growth, so it's not growing in -2%, -3%, but it will now grow at the rate of 3.2% as compared to 4% earlier. So that's called as a degrowth, right? Aerospace and defense components, they are expected to grow at 9% CAGR by 2027. Okay, so I hope you have understood basic points about industry analysis. Now let's move on with financials, and for that, have a look at this. Now, if you see, our revenue from operations have been continuously increasing from 1,227 million to 1,944 million to 2,516 million. Basically, it is in an increasing trend. Even if you check out the gross profit, it has increased from 1,089 million to 2,215 million. Even if you check EBITDA, that is in a growing trend. But now have a look at PBT number, profit before tax number. That has gone from 162 million to 401 million and directly down to 131 million. Now, even when we try to check what was wrong from 400 million directly to 131 million, the reason that was mentioned in the RHP was that there was some accounting impact, typically on the amortization account, because of which their profitability dropped. So this is like a one-time accounting adjustment that has happened, because of which their profitability has reduced drastically. Okay. Now moving on to the point that I was discussing just like a few minutes ago, which was about the exports. So for that, have a look at this. Now, if you see here, exports, as I mentioned, 80% is about exports. But if I were to quantify that in millions of rupees, 2023 million is only about exports. Now, if I were to also understand revenue breakup industry wise, right now I talked about revenue breakup country wise, or overall exports versus domestic sale. Now let's try and understand revenue breakup on an industry wise basis, and for that, have a look at this. Now, if you see, a majority of the sale is done to energy, oil and gas, and scrap. So that amounts to almost 92% of the sale if I were to check for 30th June 2023 data. But even if I were to talk about 2023 fiscal ending, 90% of the sale is done for energy, oil and gas, and scrap. 8% barely to aerospace, 8-9%, and balance 0.15 for others. Now, if you have a look at the strengths of the company, well, basic strength is that there is an entry barrier, because this is into the products that the company makes. They're into high precision, lengthy process for qualifying as a supplier. So all in all, I can say that there are entry barriers which becomes a strength for the company. But if I were to talk about the weaknesses, you remember I told you that there is a degrowth, possible degrowth in the oil and gas industry, and that could impact this company as well. So that can be one of the weaknesses for the company. Second one is about the competition both from listed and unlisted players. Now you will be like, which could be the listed players competitors? big competitors, big names like MTAR Tech, Paras Defense, then it could be Dynamatic Technologies, Triveni Turbines, and a few more. But now, one point important which is to be understood, for that, have a look at this. So, there is a value chain for the aerospace and defense category. You can see there are four major points in the value chain. One is designing it, one is component manufacturing, one is assembly, and one is post production services. So there are certain peers, there are certain competitors who would provide all four. So you would have found a green tick in all four of these categories, but for this company you can see only two out of the four processes are undertaken by this company. Okay, so that can also be counted as a weakness for this company. So I hope you have understood these points. Going on to the valuations part now, if I were to check post post IPO, the PE would come up to 57.58. But if I'm talking about the pre-IPO valuations, at a lower band, even if I take the weighted average valuation, it comes to 143.39 at a lower band, and at a higher band, it comes to 150.57, whereas the industry PE stands at 77.43. I'm sure you might be like, Rachana, why have you taken a weighted average PE valuation this time? Generally, you take the PE for the latest available year. But if you remember, in the latest year, there was an accounting impact. There was a one-time accounting impact. That is the reason why I have not counted the last available year. I've taken a weighted average, and that's like a pretty high valuation if I were to talk about the weighted average point as well. If I don't take weighted average, then it shoots up to almost 200 levels, right? Whereas compared to industry average of just 77.43. If I were to talk about the PB valuation, would be 11.8 at a lower end and 12.38 at an upper end, whereas industry PB stands at 38.02. So I hope you have understood about the valuations as well. Going on to the last part, which is IPO details. IPO opens for subscription on 20th of December, closes on 22nd. Price band is 499 to 524, and the GMP currently, as I shoot the video, stands at 83.97%. I hope you have enjoyed this short summary of whatever minutes. I don't know. I've been just talking and talking. Kitni dalega? 7 minutes. 7 minutes. It's a short summary of 7 minutes. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, don't forget to smash the like button. Don't forget to share this video with your friends. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing this. I hope you enjoyed this one. Till then, take care. Jai Hind and bye-bye.